Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
I'm Maddy Weapon.
And I'm Anthony Lerma.
And today we will be playing the next episode of the fourth episode of Suikoden 2, which will cover everything up until we get our fast travel in both directions.
Digimon Survive changes development team's release date still to be determined. Information tidbits from Digimon Con. So I knew Sam would want to know that literally as soon as possible.
Wait, what?
Digimon Survive changes development team.
Survives changes.
Digimon Survive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while I look at that, how's everybody's a couple of days?
I have been playing Elden Ring. It's good. I was really I did not watch a single trailer beyond the announcement trailer. So I didn't know anything going in. I was really surprised that it's a Souls game. I saw people calling it a Souls game, but people call Sekiro a Souls game, and Sekiro is not a Souls game at all. But it's straight up a Souls game. You got the player messages, you got your Estus flask, you got soul.
Is the healing method still primarily Estus flasks? Like it restores out of like a free limited resource that restores on checkpoints and such like that?
Yes, it's cool. Straight up Dark Souls, but with a big open map.
Gotcha. Because that's such an important mechanic that if they had changed something else, that'd be a very interesting thing to know. Cool. They decided, hey, Rainbow, we're going to fix it.
Yeah. I thought they were done making Souls games, but apparently not.
Neat.
Are you playing
I'm
on
already
PC?
stuck.
Okay.
Are you weirdly good at it again, as usual?
Not particularly, no. I did fight and beat a giant crab.
Oh, nice. So two things happened in my life this week. The first thing is, it's not my life, but a lot of stuff sure is happening, and
yeah.
I keep seeing all this new stuff about the craziness in Ukraine and Russia, and I don't totally understand it. I mean, I'm actually pretty familiar with the history of both countries and the region, given my general interest in Soviet and former Soviet bloc countries and blah, 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 blah. But I've been so busy the last week or two, I've just not really been paying much attention to the latest events. But all I gotta say is every time I hear something new, I'm just like, seems bad.
Seems pretty bad.
That's my take on that. It seems like it's not good, and they should stop.
Yeah.
My opinion on that.
Not in favor of bad things.
Yep. But on the other hand,
should stop being bad.
I agree. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, something else is good. Yesterday, shout outs to the professionals bargaining unit of the National Union of Healthcare Workers, who were going to have an informational picket at the Oakland Children's Hospital yesterday at noon. They were going to have an informational picket because they've been bargaining for 8 months, and the CHO management has been super intransigent, even though they're asking for basically fucking nothing, just some basic respect and a couple important changes that need to get made around these parts. But it turns out that we had to cancel the picket due to victory. So that's nice. Fun. Congrats to the professionals in UHWs for winning a new contract with literally every single one of their demands. Hot, very exciting, hot. Bad news is it was a 1-year contract extension. Most contracts, in case you're curious, contracts for 2 or 3 years or even 5. This was just a temporary 1-year extension, but it took them 8 months to negotiate it, and it takes effect at the start of that 8 months. So they're gonna have to do this all again in August.
Nice.
So that shit sucks. Anyway, those are the only things that happened in my 4 days.
Cool. So, RPG Site's headline is real bad. Digimon Survive did not change development teams for a second time. They changed development teams like 2 years ago, the last time that we got any information about Digimon Survive. So that was just improperly researched. They just said that they're not ready to give out the release date, but it's still on track for 2022. So
okay,
that's all that was.
Well, I hope you still appreciate the fact that I saw something about Digimon on Twitter and immediately had to yell it at you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Secondly, today was Pokemon Day, so Summer's best friend came over and we all played the Gen 4 remakes together as if we were on the playground, and it's Summer's first like real having a go at playing Pokemon, and it was a whole lot of fun. And I haven't been able to do this since Heart Gold Soul Silver, because all of us were wearing our stupid fucking Pokewalkers on fucking
yes,
on the mall in Baylor, and so as we'd be walking by, we're like nerd, and we would do the Pokemon thing. That was the last time I've been able to have a social game of playing Pokemon, and I forgot how much fucking fun it was.
It's so much fun.
With Summer being baby fresh eyes, and like she didn't know what a Prinplup looked like, so when her Piplup evolved, she like was super stoked, and like that's fucking cool. And you forget about that sort of thing.
That is cool.
Then the other thing that happened is, as I discussed 4 days ago, my midlife crisis is I want to get into console modding, and I completed my first console mod literally moments before we started recording. I got the extreme rate D-pad conversion for your Joy-Cons, and I did it. And it was real hard, but I was able to do it, which made me feel a lot better about some of the other ones that aren't rated as hard that looked impossible, like the Wonder Swan IPS screen mod I want to do soon. That one, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but I did these, like it was fucking nothing. So I'm super excited. And then the other quote unquote console quote unquote mod I did is Scarlett has had this teddy bear since she was born that if you squeeze the hand, lights come on and it sings a song, and it's her favorite fucking thing in the world, and it has been broken since before Storm was born. It's been broken for a very long time, and I fixed it today, so that was real cool. I had to solder for that one. I'm not very good at having a steady hand, so I'm probably going to buy the little helping hands things where you can set it up. They're like little clips on like movable wire hands, so you can make them hold the things together. So then all I have to do is touch the solder. I don't have to hold things together because my hands are not steady. But yeah, I accomplished things today, and I felt like a really, really cool dad soldering shit.
The most manly thing is soldering. So I didn't do too much. I went on a hike today with my friends to Runyon Canyon. It's a popular LA spot where dogs can climb a mountain with you, which is really nice. So if your dog's well behaved, it's off leash. So, and if it's not, then it's on a leash. But you're just going around, just climbing the hills. The whole Runyon Canyon's on the backside of the Hollywood side, so you can kind of see that as well.
Nice.
Which is cool.
Did you see Kevin Smith? Because he hikes it every single day.
Does he?
Yeah.
I did not. I wonder what time. Probably really early. We went around, I think we went around 9:30, but it was nice. It's just, things in LA or California, as Maddy can tell you. LA just announced we don't have to wear masks inside if you're fully vaccinated, whereas California was, I think, a week ago. So it was kind of a celebratory weekend. A lot of people were out, but that's it.
Yeah, that's dumb. You should not celebrate COVID being lax by being COVID unsafe. But
you'd be surprised how many people on the hike are talking about Coachella. very excited.
Oh,
This
that's the most California thing I've ever heard, and I hate it.
Right. I know.
But also, it's just like, oh man, the number went down a little bit. Hell yeah, it's gone now. Let's hope that there's not a cause and effect to these things. Although maybe it's more like it's like J. Jonah Jameson thing. It's like COVID numbers are down, folks. We got to get these numbers up. It's like angry that he's not getting enough pictures of Spider-Man, but he's angry that we're not getting enough COVID.
But yeah, anyone else have anything else to talk about over the last couple of days?
Oh yeah, FF6 Pixel Remastered came out, and it looks like shit. It looks disgusting. I hate it. It's awful. I thought maybe there'll be one saving grace to this whole thing, which is that the soundtrack will fucking own, because guess what? The Pixel Remastered soundtracks for FS 1 through 5 are gobsmackingly phenomenal. But even the OST is a little underwhelming. Like, I was thinking it's gonna knock me on my ass and will have made this whole thing worth it, bad game notwithstanding, but it's a mixed bag. I think I might share a little rant on it in a future episode, but definitely not as good as the remastered OST for example, FF4, or even maybe FF like 1, 2, and 3. Though I don't quite remember. It was a while back I listened to those. Like with the older ones, like every single track, I'm like, every decision they make involving instrumentation or arrangement, I'm like, yeah, that was the correct decision. Oh yeah, no, that was great. Wow, yeah, that's an improvement. With this, everything, I'm like, half the time I'm just like, that's what you're doing with that? That's weird, man.
I saw some people on Twitter talking about the opera scene. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Haven't gotten to that. I did see that they gave it cool 3D graphics. I actually think that rules. I'm in favor of that. But I haven't gotten to it in the soundtrack yet. I'm halfway through. I've heard they added lyrics, and that I saw a clip, and basically they're not doing opera singing. They're doing like Broadway singing, and it sucks. I believe Krista Lee said it sounds like they're on Avenue Q. And she wasn't.
I might just play it for that.
Bad.
I kind of want to just,
It's not good, but yeah, I haven't gotten to that. That's why I don't have full thoughts. But I will say the game's out, and if any of your friends say, "Hey, I never played Final Fantasy before, but there's these new Pixel remasters out. Should I play the Pixel remaster FF6?" Tell them no. And if they say, "Well, what should I play?" Say, "I'll get back to you." And then later that day, you email them a zip file containing an emulator, the game, and all the correct settings to make it look as good as possible, and instructions on how to use the emulator.
Want to remind the folks at home that Maddy
Also, a
is
copy of the game that we purchase.
Yes, but we want to remind the folks at home that Maddy is very particular, so you probably will like it just fine, and things will be okay.
No, it's bad. It's bad. I actually think that the FF 1 through 3 one. I think actually no. The FF4 one's actually really good. I'm actually not a hater on all. I'm not a hater in principle. Like, I was waiting to see, but it's bad.
Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo is one of the best looking games ever made, so doing anything different is going to be a problem. I remember they posted on Twitter, the Final Fantasy Twitter posted, look, you can suplex the train just like in the original, and it has a gif of the train being suplexed, but the train doesn't turn upside down. And everyone was like, but the train's supposed to turn upside down.
Yeah. And then there's a reply where it's like, we hear you, we see you, we are listening, we are improving, you're valid. The train, we're going to do a growth, and the train is going to be upside down in the final release. We thank you for your concern. It was very funny.
Yeah, I'm just saying that most of the reviews have come out saying that it owns. So
that's because game critics are stupid.
Well, I mean, yeah, but so are the average consumer. So if you consider yourself a mostly average consumer, as I do, it'll probably be fine. But please, by God, go to whatever website it is that gives you the font patch. Don't play
At least
the default font.
For the love of Christ, yes, please.
Yeah. Like Square has just picked the wrong font for every game except for Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, and that's because Square didn't do it. They got somebody else to do that one.
I was watching some footage of a long play of the game because no one had put the soundtrack on YouTube yet, so I was so desperate to hear the music that I was just watching an LP of it instead. And in combat and in dialogue, it's not like the font it doesn't look good, but like whatever, it doesn't go beyond that. But the menus have so much white space, it's insane. Like they're disgusting. I've never seen so much negative space in a menu before. The UI is absurd.
I just want to say, I could have talked about Elden Ring for so long, but I made a point not to because we needed to get through this quickly.
In my defense,
but
I just wanted to
about Final Fantasy VI Console Remaster forever.
Okay, how about you can yell for like 10 minutes about Elden Ring next time?
Okay.
Thank you. And I'm done. I actually just wanted to mention the soundtrack being underwhelming.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep egging Maddy on. But let's listen to some Suikoden music and then talk about the plot for the week.
So, oh, whoops, I forgot to scroll up. My bad. It's like the most important thing to do to get started is to just scroll up on my document. So, when we last left Lord Toby, blank. I didn't write anything. I was going to go back later. When we last left Lord Toby, we had just tried to forge an alliance with Greenhill, and it didn't go well. It was rough. It was a little tragic little micro story of people failing to get their shit together. Basically, but we do end up escaping with the mayor, basically, and also learn some exciting things about our enemies, which is that our enemies are sort of splitting into sort of two different factions. So that's sort of the latest news. So we return to our home castle and we introduce Teresa, that's the mayor we just rescued, to Victor and the others. Also, it turns out that Flick and Fitcher managed to survive and make it back, as well as Nina. That's the character we met last week that we all loved. She made it out. She tells Flick it's her 108 star of destiny to be with him. And also she made him dinner, which he needs to hurry up and go to his room right now and eat it before it gets cold. Everyone groans at her shit. Another interlude, except me, because it's great and Flick should be so lucky, you know? Another interlude. So, inside of his tent in the Highland Army's camp, Luca Blight congratulates Joey on his success in Greenhill. He then promises to give Joey anything he wants, and Joey asks for marriage to Luca's sister, Julia. Now, as an aside, please remember that Julia is also harbors strong anti-Luca sentiments, as Joey also secretly does. Luca laughs and is like, no, be serious, dude, or do you want me to literally cut your head off? Joey's like, I thought you were a man of your word, but okay, if you're not going to give me your sister, I have another idea. But I can't say the idea in front of all these troops, so can we go speak privately? So, Luca is like, right. Right. And then they go off to speak privately, and that's the end of the scene. Back in town, Nanami tells us, Victor, Shu, etc., that they're having a meeting. So we join in. Flick arrives late because he couldn't find his bandana all morning. Turns out Nina washed it. Shu explains that all the major of the major cities in the United States of Joustin, the only one left that isn't destroyed occupied or refusing to talk to them, is the Knightdom of Matilda. They have an army the size of muses, so that's cool. Let's go get them. So we are heading to the forest north of Greenhill to go to Matilda. We can pick our party, but Nanami also forces us to take her along, but as a guest slot, thank goodness. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's good. I would gladly put her in my party, but it's cool that the game lets us pick 5 other people. Later, she says the reason that she came with us is because now that Joey is definitely bad, we're the only family she's got left, and she was lonely. So, we head through an unremarkable forest dungeon. Was there anything to remark upon in this forest dungeon?
I don't even remember it, so...
No, it was nothing. Doesn't even have a
very important thing happens in the forest dungeon. We meet Vicky, the master of time and space.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the dungeon part. So we meet Vicky. She's amazing. She's lost. She's extremely confused. I love her. She doesn't know where or when or anything. And then she tells us she's a master of blink magic, aka teleportation. She's also like, "Can I come with you, please?" And we're like, "Okay." Basically, she's going to live in our castle, and she can teleport us anywhere we want to go. But she can only teleport us out of the castle. We still got to get back ourselves, which is important. But yeah, very, very cool. Vicky's super cute. We love her, and she's very useful. In
addition to her castle usefulness, she also is a real strong fighter, or like a mage. So if you actually use her in battle too, you do good.
Yep, I used her towards the end of it. She's good as fuck. So in the forest, we meet Miklotov, captain of the Blue Knights of the Kingdom of Matilda. Rather, of Matilda. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but whatever. So they got the Blue Knights and the Red Knights. Miklotov is the captain of the Blue Knights. Some new music plays here. It's real good. He's here to greet us and escort us to Matilda. We go to Rock Axe Castle, and we go inside to meet Lord Gorudo. Or Gordo, I guess is probably how you would say it in Japanese. Turns out he's a jerk. He's like, "You're just a little guy. The story I've heard of you beating Highland's ass must have been greatly exaggerated. Muse got owned because they're small and wimpy, and you probably are small and wimpy too, so we have nothing to gain from allying with you, so GTFO. And then they escort us to a guest room. Huh?
I hate how it's always like, oh, obviously our enemy is too strong, you're a little wimpy person, you must be lying, instead of, haha, I knew that our enemy couldn't have been so badass, they just got beat by a little dude. Like, yay morale, let's join forces and beat this guy. They're like, no, our enemy must be stronger than you. You suck.
Later on in this chapter, when after some more friction between our armies happens, someone, I forget who, says something like, it looks like the nation state's problem, like the nation state's big problem has reared its head again. So it's kind of like an allusion to the fact that, like, yeah, this is the problem with this country, is that it's not a unified country. It is an uneasy alliance between 6 different groups, and they never really got that good at working together. That's the main problem here. And it's like, long standing. So yeah, they, instead of just being like, wow, that's awesome, they're like, really? So anyway, yeah, he says GTFO. That night, Leknat appears to us in a dream. But he just gives us like a motivational speech with like no actual content. So
yeah,
thanks.
It's weird.
She's just like, go save the day. And we're like, we were already working on it. I mean, we weren't doing a good job, but you're not helping. So the next morning, everyone is in a hubbub. The Highland Army is near, but it seems they're Matilda. That doesn't make any sense. It seems like they are not trying to invade Matilda. They are rather simply pursuing a bunch of Muse refugees who are fleeing here. Miklotov is like, we gotta save them. Gorudo has kind of a muted reaction. He's like, ... Sure, gather the troops. So then there's another strategy battle, except it's actually a plot cutscene battle.
So many of them are actually plot cutscene battles.
We are starting to get used to this. Basically, the refugees are fleeing towards our border and getting hells of owned by Highland, which includes both Luca and Joey. But, surprising no one, Gerudo says it's happening outside of our borders and is thus not our problem. Our job is simply defending our country. Don't let anyone through our border, Highland or refugee. So then all the refugees get slaughtered. Also, by the way, we definitely need to make sure that we are letting the Ukrainian refugees into our country. Wink. Or not wink. Fun fact. If that's a thing in your area, you should get involved. Anyway, Miklatov is obviously extremely upset about this, and that's what happens with this battle. So afterward, back in the throne room, Gerudo is like, cool, Highland didn't invade after all. Good job, everybody. Miklatov is obviously furious, and he's like, I'm leaving to go to Muse. I need to see what the hell, like, why are there so many refugees fleeing? Like, I get they're under occupation, but like it really seems like something really bad is going on there. Also, there's a guy I have not mentioned yet, named Camus. He is the captain of the Red Knights, and he and Miklatov are friends, and he's kind of on the same side as him morally. He says, "Hey, I can't leave, but you, the party, should follow Miklatov and protect him." So we follow. We catch up with him outside of the Matilda-Muse border, and he asks us to join. He has to join with us so he won't be so conspicuous traveling alone. The border guards at first stop us, saying Muse is really rough right now with the, quote, refugee hunt happening, which doesn't sound good, but that they receive word from Camus to not interfere with Miklatov's, quote, secret mission. We proceed into Muse for the first time in many, many weeks. It's been a long time since we've been there, and let's see how it is. As we approach Muse, we see an FMV, and a giant dark dragon ghost thingy in the sky is making like a giant vortex over the city. I wrote IDK Man, seems bad.
You wrote IDK Man about this, and I wrote all that shit that happened in .hack GU. Weak.
Because we're about to learn what happens in just a second. Also because I legitimately didn't understand what was going on.
I wrote about way crazier shit and more abstract crazy shit.
That is true.
You should describe at least the FMV to some extent, right? Or is that what you're going to do? Sorry, Maddy.
But that's all it is. I don't know. Yeah. It's a bunch. Yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know. I will say, it's also not nearly as cool as the shit that happens in .hack GU, okay? I did not make a strong impression. Anyway, so nearby, Luca yells that their, quote, souls are getting sucked into oblivion, and that they're being, quote, sacrificed to, quote, free the evil beast. Seems bad. Joey is like, IDK if this is it, Chief, but Luca says, but then Luca says, I see a darkness in your eyes, Joey. Seems bad. So we enter the city and see almost nobody around. There's a single citizen dying on the ground, and he's like, the silver dragon. I thought it was more of a blue, but he calls it silver. Consumed everyone alive. Some soldiers fight us, and we kick their butts, because every time soldiers fight you in this game, you kick their butts. But then we realize that there's nothing more we can do, so we return back to Matilda. Back in Matilda, Mikloto is, like, beyond fired up. He's like, holy shit, we gotta go send a regiment to Muse right now. This is horrible. Everyone asks him what the hell he's talking about. He explains about everyone being massacred in some sick ritual, but no matter what, Gerudo won't budge. He's like, didn't you vow to always be loyal to me as my knight? Isn't that what that emblem means? And then Miklatov has a great speech. Instead of summarizing, I just got word for word because it's the same amount of words as summarizing. He says, breaking a pledge of loyalty is the knight's highest disgrace. But I am a human first and a knight second. I don't need your title. I resign myself to your disgrace. but I will never forgive you. I can never look idly by while lives are being thrown away. That's true sometimes and not true other times. Earlier, I made a not a joke, a serious comment that analogized refugees here to Ukraine, but that doesn't mean that we should do what he's talking about now, please. Anyway, not the same thing. Okay. Gordo, let's please not go to war with Russia. Okay. Gordo tells Camus to arrest us. He says, but then Camus says, I'm breaking my oath too. And then all the guards in the room also do. It's a great scene. They're all just like, no, we're not doing that. We're going with him. So we take our small entourage and we leave. Outside, we got to get out of Dodge, but Camus says he's going to stay behind and try to convince more knights to join us, though he does feel a little bit weird trying to sway people to commit high treason. We leave and head south back to Green Hill. Partway through, we see that we're being pursued by a very large contingent of Gorudo's red and blue knights, and we're like, oh no. Then Shu shows up, and we're going to gear up for a fight, but then we see that the regiments are being led by Camus. He managed to convince nearly half of both brigades to defect. Holy cow, that's a lot of people. So we get back to our home base. We did fail to officially form an alliance with Matilda, but we've gained many new forces. Job well done, everybody. Nanami says, make sure to spend some time with Pilika before going to bed. She really missed us. Interlude. Back to Joey and Luca. Joey and Luca are discussing some sort of plan. Luca says it might be too dangerous because a lot of the army still isn't loyal to him. And for example, Kiba and his son in particular are still loyal to the king. Joey says, I have a plan to handle that too. And Luca's very impressed. But then someone new, I wrote new question mark, shows up. Leon. Now, Leon has not appeared in this game yet, right?
No
idea. I don't believe he's appeared in this game. He has appeared in...
So that's what I was about to say. So Leon appears, and it turns out that he is the strategist for the Scarlet Moon Empire. I wrote in parentheses, that's a backstory thing, right? I definitely remember that being mentioned. I don't remember if it was mentioned in the game or if it was simply mentioned by Bernard. But don't worry too much about it because we are actually going to learn more later, so that'll answer itself. Yeah, so some new guy who is a strategist for some other empire called Scarlet Moon Empire. If you remember what that is, congratulations. If you don't, you'll find out soon enough. So that's a big deal that Leon is joining us, is joining the bad guys as the big strategist. And then finally, Luca says something like, I don't remember, he just has some ominous sentence, but he calls Joey his younger brother-in-law. So it's like, oh, I guess that marriage thing is or did happening after all. Seems bad. So the next day, Radat has been invaded. Oh no! So apparently the soldiers are already occupying the town, and this is the first we're hearing about it. So that's very concerning. Once again, we go to investigate. When we get there, it seems like there's been very little fighting, if any. Highland Guards patrol, and the city is acting normal. But there is a big old assembly. Klaus is there, and he's like, all right, this is now a province of Highland. You're all Highland citizens. You are now subject to our law. Also, that rumor about everyone in Muse getting sacrificed to an evil god, that's ridiculous. That did not happen. We made it up. It never happened. Kiba also promises this. He's like, I swear on the name of King Agares, who I'm very loyal to. That's the guy I'm loyal to specifically, is King Agares. Remember that? They definitely didn't murder the fuck out of everyone in Muse. I have never heard of that happening. So we make note that Kiba and Klaus are the ones who are leading this particular faction, or this particular battalion. So that's all that we needed. When I say we, I mean the party. Us, the players, recognize that Kiba and Klaus are the ones that aren't necessarily loyal to Luca. So Klaus sees us, though, and is like, sup, hey man, sorry, Joey isn't here. He's at the capital, La Ratatouille, getting married to Jilia. Well, bye. So back at the castle, we're gonna fight. It turned out it's the 3rd and 4th divisions of the army. If you recall, the 4th division is Joey's division. Shu is like, let's just fight them head on. They'll see that we have way more soldiers and generals now, so we'll kick their butts. Victor is like, hey Shu, famous military strategist, shouldn't we like have a strategy? And Shu's like, nah. It's very ominous. It's very funny, actually. I get the point. He's being hubris, but it totally comes out of nowhere. So, it turns out that the 4th Division is being temporarily led by Raud. I got his name right, everybody. Aren't you proud of me?
Yes.
Since, I guess, Joey's off getting married, maybe? So the fight seems to be going well at first, but then one of our generals, Ridley, as a reminder, that's the leader of the kobolds, speaks up. He says, hey, how come all of my kobold troops are all deployed in the very front line? Shu basically says, shut up, I'm the strategist here. Later, the kobolds are getting extremely owned because they're on the front line, and Ridley is like, God damn it, we never should have trusted y'all. And they all yeet out of the battle. So without the help of a decent portion of our army, we start to get really owned and eventually have to withdraw. However, the Highland army chooses not to pursue, as they too have suffered heavy losses and need a bit of time to regroup. Still, ouch. Is there any way for this battle? This battle didn't go differently for any of y'all, did it?
No, it's scripted. Go this way. It's another plot scene.
Just checking. Just checking. Back at the castle, Victor says we shouldn't waste time being mad at Ridley and should instead just focus on how to win the next battle. What Victor doesn't say, but I think he might be thinking, is that Ridley kind of makes sense that he was a bad guy. So interlude, turns out Joey's off getting married. So very important cutscene. Joey's getting married to the princess to become to become the prince and brother-in-law of the main villain, Luca, and the son of King Agares, who, if we recall, is like technically the king of the opposing army, but like not an insane sicko freak like his son. He's just a normal king who's in a war.
Has there been any like indication of why he doesn't do anything about his son being an insane sicko freak, or is it just like he doesn't he wouldn't go crazy and burn Joust into the ground, but he doesn't mind if someone else does it?
No, I feel like there's a lack of information being shared. They do a pretty good job of like murdering everybody and not letting anyone escape. So assuming they have decent OPSEC, I don't know. I just feel like he's not totally aware. Maybe he's getting a little old,
I feel like he's a results guy. As long as the results are coming in, he's like fine.
Maybe, but the way people, so we don't get much about him. We never really get scenes with him, but we do get how people feel about him. And all the characters who are loyal to Agares are like upstanding, honorable people generally. So I get the feeling that Agares is also like an upstanding, honorable man. So, but that does raise that question, right? Like, are you just out of touch? I don't think he's a results guy, but maybe that's it. Maybe he let his ambitions cloud what normally are his honorable intentions, where he is letting his son do this stuff that he normally would not have to do as more in his senses. I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
So I went to his wiki page to see if there was something like we had missed. And I don't know if we find this out later or what, but back in the day, Highland was attacked by someone, and so Agares took Luca and his pregnant wife Sarah away, but they were captured by some thugs, and Sarah was raped and killed. She died in childbirth, giving birth to Gilia. So Agares basically was like, shit sucks, and I hate it. And he basically became a figurehead and just lets Luca do whatever he wants.
So we probably find that out later, because we found out half of that in about 10 seconds.
Okay. I don't remember finding out any of this. I probably
there is an allusion to that in just a second, and I'm guessing that we'll find out the full story later.
Mhm.
But yeah, that, you know what? That explains part of it. And I was just giving you the background because if you got to remember who Agaris and Luca and all these people are really to understand the importance of this scene. So Joey's off getting married. There's a marriage ceremony, which either it's very short or we only see the end of it, where the king's pretty much just like, "Hey, do you want to marry Joey? And are you definitely wanting to have Joey's hand in marriage?" And Jillian's like, "Yep." And he's like, "Cool." And then they go on to the more important part of the ceremony, which is Joey swearing fealty as a knight. That has to be done in private with just Joey, Agaris, and a witness, Luca. So in the private room, they go through the ceremony, which involves drinking everyone has to drink some ceremonial wine. And Joey finishes swearing
It's not ceremonial wine, it's Joey's blood.
It's wine, and then Joey puts his blood in it.
It's two different things. Oh, but that explains it.
He calls it the wine of fealty, but it's Joey's blood.
Oh, you're probably right. That actually makes more sense given what's about to happen. So yeah. So he said, "Yeah, I thought it was two separate things. Like, I'm gonna, cut some blood from my hand to do like a blood oath, and also let's drink some wine." But you're totally right. So Joey gives him some blood, and then he drinks it, and then Agaris keels over, very obviously poisoned because we understand how drama works. So apparently Agaris is very, very, very careful and won't even drink water without it being tasted first. But Luca and Joey found a way, which was to poison him via Joey's blood. Instead of telling you what it is in a second, I'll just tell you right now. Basically, Joey had been poisoning himself for like weeks with very small amounts of poison so that it would build up in his bloodstream so that it would kill Agaris. See, I was thinking it was the old, like, poison yourself a little bit to build up an immunity to the poison thing, but now I understand that's exactly what it is. Wow, that's really badass.
They actually mentioned that he was also taking an antidote. Joey was.
Oh, that's right. Cool. Anyway, the point is, yeah, shit's fucked up. Also, interesting parallel with the use of the poisoned blade by the other general back in the day. So, yeah, fine. So anyway, the king is like, "WTF, rude, I'm literally your dad." Luca says, "You're a coward, you made peace with the dogs back in the day, and also, you totally dishonored my mother when you left us out in the cold that one time." And I said, "I'm sure this will be addressed more later." And I said that I think Luca is a bastard son, but according to what Sam just said, that's not true. Whatever. Something's going on with mom stuff that will be a cutscene later in the game. Anyway, Agaris dies. Joey and Jillia or not Joey, actually. Jillia is very upset when she learns this, but like, whatever. It's a fucking, what's the word for sort of like it's a done deal? It's a really good fancy word, whatever. Anyway, back in town. Okay, so we gotta fight again, right? Because we lost that battle, but not like both sides retreated, so we gotta have a rematch basically. New strategy. Hey y'all, what do y'all think the new strategy is going to be? What do you think the new military strategy is going to be this time?
Just fight them from the front.
That's right. We're flanking them. Because whoever thinks about flanking wins. So not only do we, and I'm not going to say much about the battle. It's very long. It's got some cutscenes in it, but it's a real battle. Not only do we win, but we capture Kiba and Klaus, which is really cool. We ask them.
The one important cutscene that happens is all of the shit with Ridley was a ruse, so we could have a double flank.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the kobolds could hide in the forest and then be like, "Psych, we weren't actually mad. Shu actually had a plan the whole time."
That's right. I totally forgot about that. It was crazy.
Also, in the cutscene with Raud not joining the fight, making a clear point that, we want you to be killed anyway. For potential purposes of the story. Sorry.
Yeah.
But,
right. Yeah, good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Raud's a motherfucker, and we don't want him to join everybody anyway.
This whole invasion of Radot thing is to just get rid of Kiba and Klaus. So, Raud makes that very obvious during the cutscene.
Yeah, exactly. Thank y'all for filling that in. My brain was so overcome by just like the morass of the, in my opinion, very not fun strategy gameplay that I completely forgot.
Your unit shouldn't have a move speed of 1. That's real bad.
Especially if you're the leader.
Yeah, it makes the battles like it takes like 3 turns of just end turn or let Apple pick to even be able to start fighting anybody. It's just it's ridiculous.
I'm just going to say once more, you were bogged down in the morass of unentertaining gameplay. It's on .gu.
Yes, Ron, thank you for your service. Fait accompli was the phrase I was trying to think of earlier. Where it's like, the thing has already happened, so we have no choice but to accept it. So anyway, we captured...
Sorry, real quick. I just want to talk about these battles. I didn't realize... So, we've done a few of them. I didn't realize you can choose your own. Until I talked to Apple, and I was like, oh, I can actually select people? Did they tell you this? Did I miss it? I must have missed it.
I don't think they ever actually tell you it. I think you just have to talk to Apple or read the manual.
I knew this, but maybe it's because I was just clicking around and figured it out. But yeah, you're right. They totally don't ever really explain that.
I talked to Apple so I could do it, and I was like, I'm not fucking messing with this. All of these are just cutscenes anyway. Not all of them, but most of them are just cutscenes anyway.
I was going through the Stars of Destiny FAQ. All of the ones are like, yeah, this is the best general. Were the first like 6 generals you get, and you only get like 6 generals at a time. So I don't need to change it. Like Ridley and what's his face are like the best ones to use, and you get them because you've got them already. So I'm good enough.
Yep. So like it's luckily there aren't very many of these battles, and again, like this game is just really pushing whether or not it's a video game. This might be the least we talked about the gameplay of any game we played on this podcast, and it's not like it's bad. The normal RPG parts perfectly serviceable, but whatever. So anyway,
it's like with like the. Like in movies, like editing, when it's perfect, it's invisible. The gameplay is good, but it's not like you're butting your head against it to try and overcome any of the boss battles or anything. You're just like having a good time while you're doing the RPG parts, so that you can focus on the story where all the meat and potatoes are.
Just kind of there. Anyway, not only do we win, but we did capture Kiba and Klaus, which, as y'all corrected, was kind of actually on purpose with the bad guys. It's a very complex patchwork of motivations here. So we asked them to join us, but they're like, look, man, I get ya, but we're loyal to King Agaris. We made a solemn oath. Notice second instance of a solemn oath versus morality this week. We made a solemn oath we can't just betray King Agaris. Then a messenger shows up with a letter, and the letter is for Kiba, and it's signed King Luca, and also his General Leon Silverberg. Kiba immediately, being very smart, as soon as Kiba says King Luca, he like puts everything together. He's like, the wedding, the troop deployments, the holy shit, they killed the king. So he realizes that Agaris has been murdered by Luca. Then, after more encouragement from us, we say, dude, Luca's ambition could not only destroy all of Charleston, but even all of Highland. It's a very heavy ask, but Kiba and Klaus eventually realize what they both must do. And they join us. Hell yeah. As an aside, Shu wonders if it's his fault that Leon Silverberg joined Luca. We'll learn more about that later, I'm sure. So or is that something from the previous game that Bernard already knows about?
Shu isn't really in the previous game. If he is, he's mentioned very briefly.
Cool.
But Matthew Silverberg is your main strategist person in the first game, and Leon is his brother, who they don't like each other, but you can eventually get Leon to join your group.
Gotcha. So anyway, we take stock. So we have about 25,000 soldiers, which is about the size of one Highland Army division. They have 4 of those, 3 of which are deployed against us, divisions 1, 3, and 4. Now, the 3rd division did just get owned really bad. They lost about 2/3 of their army, but the entire army together is still unmatched, if we were to say all attack at once. However, we don't have anyone else to turn to. Green Hill's occupied, Matilda rejected us, and Tinto, that's a city that hasn't really been mentioned yet, is fortifying its borders on its own, but otherwise not responding to our messages. Totally shutting us out. So that sucks. Then a mysterious figure shows up, and it's like, I guess you're going to miss the panty raid. No, he says, I guess you're going to need my help. And it's Sheena. Everyone is like, who the hell, everyone but Bernard, is like, who the hell is Sheena? But he says that he and Apple are old friends. Apple does not agree with this, by the way, but also he's the son of the president of the Tauran Republic. So what the heck is the Tauran Republic? Well, remember the Scarlet Moon Empire? The city-state's sworn enemy who they had a big war with? It's from the last game. Well, after they got defeated, the Emperor Barbarossa was deposed, and the empire was turned into a republic under President Lepont. We're trepidatious, but Sheena is like, I promise we're not the sick fucks we were before. We're a democratic republic, which are never sick fucks, and we just want to be allies and not bad. So they're like, you know what, we don't have anyone else to turn to, and also seems, you know what, it actually makes sense. So Shu orders Freed to show us how to like get there, because it's kind of a long way and there's like a dangerous desert and shit, which implies, of course, that Freed has a history with this place.
Freed is very much against the whole idea, but eventually goes along with it.
Exactly. He's like, please no, I really don't want to do this. And then Shu is like, get over yourself, the past is in the past. But Freed joins us anyway, and we head for Tauran. Freed asks us if we can please stop by South Window first. It's selfish, but he needs to see it one last time. Did y'all acquiesce with this request?
Yes.
Yeah, especially since you can just yeet over there now, right? It's not an important cutscene. He just talks about his hopes and dreams and South Window and how war is bad and how one day we can all have peace, pretty much. It's good. It's good. It's just not much to say. I don't think Freed's a very good character, so I don't care. Are we all still on the Freed is dumb train?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not great.
I actually got excited. I thought he was going to die. I thought it was like perfect exposition.
I feel like he's good. Like, that makes perfect sense, right? Like, that. Mm-hmm. That's why you have a scene like that, if he's going to die later. And it's going to be a very emotional scene, and none of us are going to care. But anyway, so we get to the border with Tauran. A guy named Varkas stops us. At this point, just assume every single person I mention is from the first game.
I'm pretty sure literally every named character that shows up from here on out is from the first game.
Yeah, I popped into the as always, shout outs to LP Archive. I hopped into LP Archive to grab a couple of lines of dialogue for some stuff that I missed, and they mentioned that a lot of these named characters, none of them have character portraits, and the person writing the LP Archive was like, what the hell? All these guys are from the first game. Why didn't they just put the character portraits in this game? Fuck it. I'm going to put the character portraits in my LP archive anytime these guys are talking. So yeah, like, all of this is from the first game, which is really cool, actually. So, anyway, Varkas says he can't let the commander of the Dalston army just waltz around freely, but he will escort us to the capital. So we get to the capital, and like I said, just assume every single thing is from the first game. So basically, they take us to not the throne, like a waiting room. And if we want to, we can do a lot of exploring. I did some. Did y'all do any exploring?
None at all.
I didn't realize you could explore.
Yeah, same here.
There's a moment where you can, and I am always doing it. So once I realized how big the city was, I didn't do a ton because I knew that I was getting close to the part where I could be done because I was in a time crunch. But the city's beautiful, and yeah, there's a lot of named characters in this city, none of whom have character portraits, all of whom are probably from the first game. Anyway, there's also some references. There are some references to like the hero from before, which I'm guessing is the main character from the previous game. So eventually, we go and we meet with Lepant, the president of the Tauren Republic. Then we. Okay, which of you would like to say what we ask the president to do?
We ask the president if we can form an state with which it's not a state and it doesn't start with a vowel. I don't understand. Like,
we want to make an alliance. We're not making a new country. And also, why is it an state? It's great. I love it.
It's a spectacular translation mishap.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what happened there. Maybe the word they use isn't like the most obvious word that you usually use for like alliance or something, so it could get, and maybe the dialogue was in a fucking spreadsheet, so they didn't know the fucking context, so they said it's state is the word, and then the and could have just been a different unrelated slip up. I don't know.
But they say and state again later. I noted that it happened twice.
Yeah, if
It's
I had a nickel for every time that they said and state in this game, I'd only have 10 cents, which isn't much, but it's still weird that it happens twice. I forget whose joke that is. It's a classic. So anyway, so basically we have I'll just spoil it. This ends up being a very successful discussion. That's the takeaway here. But we get some information. We talk about how so back when it was the Scarlet Moon Empire, they were always warring with the city-state. But then it turned into the Tauren Republic. Bernard, did turning into the Tauren Republic happen in the first game, or is that between games?
That's the plot of the first game, is that you overthrow the Scarlet Moon Empire.
Oh, and so like the idea of it being a republic afterward is part of the game, like at the end.
Yeah, the game ends with you overthrow the Scarlet Moon Empire, and then, sort of in the background of the credits, they're setting up the new republic, and it's like, is Tyr BcDohl, hero of the first game, going to lead? No, he wanders into the sunset.
Right, so it's this guy instead. Yeah,
yes.
Cool. That's cool. See, I was assuming it was like you beat the Scarlet Empire and that's the end of the game. And then the fact that later it becomes Republic was like the retcon that. Neat, that's really cool. So, yeah, but after they established the Tauren Republic, it didn't immediately mean everything was sunshine and rainbows. Turns out that they battled the armies of both Tinto and South Window. Basically because the country, because Scarlet Moon was in such internal discord, other places were like, ooh, this is our chance to invade and take some territory and resources. Kind of a jerk move. But they managed to keep it all together. And he's like, despite all of this, you still want to make an state? But then everyone's like, hey, remember that whole thing where Luca wants to murder the fuck out of all of us? Maybe we should work together. And unlike everyone else in this game, this guy's like, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
And he doesn't actually have evidence that Luca would want to murder the Tauren Republic specifically. It's just like, no, that makes sense that is what he would do next.
Yeah, so he asks Lord Toby why we continue to fight. What did y'all say here?
To put an end to this war.
Yeah, I realize I shouldn't have picked it because I'm sure y'all all did, and it's what the LP archive did, but it is the most thematically correct choice. Like, that's what everyone's talking about. It's like, it's not about good guys and bad guys, it's about we want to have no more war. So that's what we all picked.
Because Luca's a sicko.
Yeah, I should have just said that. I should have said, fuck that guy, he sucks. But that's not what we said. Also, frankly, I think that we, the player, know more about how much Luca's a sicko than the characters do. I mean, they don't like him, but we have some extra behind the scenes info.
They did see him try to kill Pilica.
That's true. So anyway, this guy's, after we tell him that we just want to have no more war, this guy goes, you are much like him. Even though I'm the president, there's a different guy who really should be the president right now. He's the guy from the previous game. That's what he says. It's actually verbatim. And he says that we have the same glimmer in our eyes, and we represent everyone's hopes and dreams. Blah 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 blah. There's a guy named Tesla. And he says, okay, how many soldiers can we give right now? And they say about 5,000 men, which I thought was a little underwhelming, given this current balance of power. Turns out that there's two different generals who can lead them. There's one named General Valeria and another one named General Kasumi. They're both ladies. They're both really hot. And we have to pick which one we want to come with us. Sheena says, damn, they're both hot. There's a cool thing where we get to pick one, but we're just picking them based on them just saying, like, hi. If we ask to take a minute, we can actually get intel on them, where we get to look at each one's stats. Sheena actually says, do you want to see my secret notes? Which I think is pretty funny.
Memorial.
Yeah, they're passing it off like he's like some kind of weird creeper who has these secret notes, but also it's their stats, which is very useful for us to know. Which one did y'all pick?
I picked Valeria because she's the fucking best character in the first game. She kicks so much ass in the first game. And apparently she has a unite with Anita, I think is the name of the character that I use a lot.
I picked Kasumi because she is like princess of the ninja village or something. And that sounded
I picked Kasumi because she's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, what did you pick?
Kasumi as well, because both what of you and Sam said.
Yeah, so I picked Kasumi. I did look at the stats, but then quickly realized that I didn't care. So then the president says, as a symbol of friendship between us and them, here's the blinking mirror, which lets us instantly return to our castle. Hooray! And that's it for the week. We have now forged an alliance with the Tauren Republic, thus drastically altering the both literal landscape, because it's a country that we didn't know was part of this game, and metaphorical landscape of this battle. So very excited to see what goes next now that this entire other country is involved in this ever-escalating conflict that has that also has more and more factions and conflicting motives. Yeah, that's it. Let's move on to our honorable moments and then talk about them.
All right. What do you guys got?
I lumped mine all in, so yeah.
So I like how when Miklotov is at the border, he's like, hey, let me join you so they don't notice me. And then you walk down 5 tiles and they're like, hey, Miklotov, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Miklotov, come in, said you were coming, and he gets spotted immediately.
I like the Futch and Humphrey side quest with the Black Dragons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The
that
guy
happened this
told me
time.
about that, and I thought that sounds cool. I should do it. I like the character named Futch. Tell me about it.
So, as you're going from Matilda to Muse to go check it out, there's a village in between, the Highway Village, where you run into Humphrey and Futch, Fudge being the apprentice, Humphrey being the more seasoned knight. And they're dragon knights. So they're talking about sort of what's going on, and then
holy cow, do they have body slam?
Yeah, Humphrey actually isn't a dragon knight. He's just a regular knight.
Oh, is he just regular?
I know this because he's from the first game. As is Fudge.
And then I forget this part, but a little kid wants to go show a dragon egg, right? And that's how they go to Mount Rukunai or Rukutai. Yeah. So a little kid from who lives at the inn, whose mom's like, they're staying there, goes to or hears about the Dragon Age and wants to go discover it himself. So runs to this mountain. We follow him. As we're climbing the mountain, which has some really good stuff and treasure, we run into an enemy that was probably the hardest enemy yet. I would say the hardest boss, at least for me. The Harpy, who hits everybody pretty consistently, and uses a bunch of different types of wind attacks. Animation's pretty cool, but eventually you defeat her. After defeating her, you do keep moving forward. We see an actual dragon egg. I forget how they said it. It was built. It was built there for the egg. Like the egg wasn't laid there, right? Or like some weird dragon custom where they put the egg above like a huge mountain compared to putting it in a cave. I forget exactly.
Dragons normally lay their eggs in caves, but this is a wild dragon. An egg being laid here at the top of a mountain is very unusual, and presumably its mother is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and so at first Fudge is saying we should destroy it. Humphrey is saying we should destroy it. Well, Fudge is like, I don't know if I want another dragon. Sort of exposition. Had a dragon died. So now he's worried about accepting another dragon. And then eventually stops Humphrey from breaking the egg. The dragon hatches. We have a baby dragon. And that's pretty much it. It was really cool. I haven't used the dragon. Is it a summon? Does anyone try to use it? Or?
I don't know if it has any gameplay utility.
Yeah, I've had Fudge since the beginning of the game, and I haven't seen it pop up at all.
Okay. Still pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that side plot. I enjoy that Humphrey is really good in battle.
Oh my gosh.
Is the best in battle. And
he has so much defense.
He's really freaking slow too, so go ahead and slap the Titan rune on him that makes him go last anyways, because it doubles his attack. So he's already super strong and was going to go last anyways. So now you put him at the end, and he'll just do double the damage that anybody else could possibly do.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
Nice.
So when we go through the nondescript forest dungeon, of which there are so many in this game, to get to the border of the Torn Republic, you might have noticed there's a different battle theme. It's the battle theme from the first game.
Oh, it's really good.
Because you're going to the place from the first game.
That's really cool.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. So there's another side quest I'd like to bring up. Did either of y'all get Jean?
Is that the Rune Master?
Yes.
Yes, I got her last week. I don't know. It all flows together with the weird scheduling stuff, but I got her a while ago.
I gotcha. Yeah, so if you go to... Jean is the innkeeper we all love from before, right?
No, Jean is the rune lady. She was the hot teacher from Green Hill.
Yeah. Badge it, hot teacher from Green Hill. This is going to sound confusing to those of you listening. A character shows up in a different context than the last time we saw her. So I couldn't remember what character it was that we'd already met before. And I was like, oh, is this, remember the beautiful little side quest we had about the lady who wanted to run in her dumb bimbo husband? I was like, oh, this is her again? But no, it's a different character. Yeah. So she has not shown up yet, right?
No, she has. Yeah, she's running an inn at my castle.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. Okay, my brain doesn't work anymore. I never stay at the inn at the goddamn castle. I mean, not like on purpose, except in the plot. Only when the plot makes me, right? Anyway, you're right. So we run into Jean, who was from Green Hill, but now she's not in Green Hill. She's in Two River. That's the thing. So I'm just going through Two River, and she's running the Gymsmith. And you can ask her to join her group, and that's cool. And then she has someone else who doesn't have a character portrait, but seems like is also really cute to take her place. That's it. It's just that she's hot, and and she can make runes and shit. So now she's in your castle, and that's really good to have her in your castle, so you don't have to find her other places. Yeah, definitely the character I got. That's the only side content I did this week.
One thing in the nondescript force dungeon, in going into the Torn Republic, the enemy, those 3 women, are they significant in any way from Suikoden 1?
It's weird. They're 3 named women. Yeah. They have names.
Yeah.
Who are they? They show up multiple times. We kill them multiple times. They don't stay dead.
Yeah, no clue.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right.
What I do know is where we're stopping next week. So it's a real big, important part. And we're going to go and we're going to fight Luca. However that shakes out is real cool. It's a real big set piece. It takes according to the long play, it takes about an hour to do the whole set piece, which is cool.
Know when you get to it, kind of thing.
You will know when we get to it, and on the other side of it, you will eventually, as usual, because they cut away in the middle of a climax and then they need you to be back to the thing. Toby will collapse and pass out and wake up back at his bed, and everyone's like, that's weird, but it happens a lot, and then you save. So yeah, you will know it when we get there. It'll be a big, long, we are going to go attack Luca thing.
You know what's weird thing this game doesn't do, but they probably could have benefited from? Having some Lunas.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of situations in this game where a Luna would have been a good idea, and they, I guess, hadn't played enough RPGs to remember that that's the thing.
Yeah. I will say there are 2 attempts to go and fight Luca. One of them is a strategy battle. One of them is not. It'll be the one after that is not a strategy battle. So if you do the strategy battle and you're like, okay, that was fine, you still got 45 minutes left.
Cool. Good to know. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's just looking at scanning through the long play. We're in for a treat. This is going to be real cool.
Yeah. Because I've actually been surprisingly a lot more invested in this. I've been really invested in this plot. I've been trying to use the guide less and less, which means I'm not getting hardly any. I'm missing a lot more side content, but I don't even know what locations we go to next. So I'm because I'm not using guide at all. So I'm really looking forward. I don't even you said we're gonna fight Luca. Cool. I don't even know where, right? Because if the guide says you're gonna go to this place, that kind of, you can infer what's going on with the plot sometimes, right? Just by locations or the names that the guide gives. It's chapter titles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. And so that will put us most of the way through part 8 of 12 on the long play. So we're getting close to the end here. Not sure how many episodes, if it'll be 4 more, because we've averaged doing 1 per each, but then the times where we've done a little bit more each time, it's not going exactly that way, because we are definitely not on our 8th episode right now. But so I don't know if it'll be 2 or 3 more episodes, but we're getting up pretty close to the end here, which is exciting. Other things that are exciting is if you go to our website at www.rpgbook.club, you can donate to help us keep the lights on and pay for games and other cool stuff like that. Any and all donations go towards unlocking our side series, the shortcast and longcast series. We are currently working on unlocking a season about Metal Gear Solid. So if you want us to talk about that kick-ass game, you can do so by donating. And as a little treat, every time you donate, or when you donate, you get access to the Book Club no Kaseki series, where me and Bernard and Matt are talking about all of the Trails games. We are working on Trails in the Sky the Third right now, coming up on having to decide what we're going to do after that because the Crossbow games aren't out yet. So exciting things are happening there. But yeah, other than that, come and check us out. Same bat time, same bat channel next week for Sam Allman. I've been RPG Book Club.
For David Bernard Houck, I've been RPG Book Club.
For Maddy Evan, I've been Cumtown.
And for Anthony Lerma, I've been RPG Book
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, everybody.